So today, I want to share with you a bit of a mystery, one that I've been trying to figure out for quite a while, about a good year and a half. And I really haven't come to any solid answer on it. So I'm going to put it here in front of you, and then maybe you guys can figure out what exactly is going on here. So over the last few years, ever since the Philippines opened again after the pandemic, I started meeting up again with various expats. I had expats contact me on a pretty regular basis on Facebook or in the comment section. And out of them, I've had some good long conversations. And despite asking them a lot of questions, I don't know if it's that they don't really want to share the core problem or they don't understand the core problem. And here's the situation. So a man, usually from the United States, but, Europe and other areas, a man finally makes it out to the Philippines for about a 3 to 4 week vacation. And the men will tell me that they are sick and tired of the dating choices that are back home. And the whole story there, the women who are just entitled, unappreciative, demanding, yada, yada. So they tell me before they get here and even after they get here that those women are just not what they're looking for. They're not going to lower their standard. They're not going to settle. So they come to the Philippines because they've heard there's these great, wonderful women. And there are. There are just so many good, decent women. Don't waste your time on, I'll say this again, I've said it a million times for over a decade. Don't go looking for a good quality woman on the dating sites. Can you find some? Yeah, like 5, maybe 10% at most, of the ones on the dating site might actually work out. But even then, if you happen, I'm going to sidetrack here for a second. If you happen to be talking to a good, decent Filipina woman that you somehow found on a dating site, a bunch of other guys are talking to her and contacting her every day. Other guys are seeing her profile. So you're automatically in competition with a bunch of other guys for her attention. So just forget about the dating sites. Get here, meet them organically, in person. Another mistake guys will make is they go, well, I did meet them in person, but they found them on the dating site. Again, stay off the dating site. Just go out there in the morning when you got to get your coffee, your bagel, or whatever it is you're doing in town. When you see an attractive woman that you're interested in, go and start some conversation. Now, start some conversation, not go up and ask her on a date. Okay, that's two different things. So you want to first establish some kind of rapport, and in the middle of that, get a feel for, is this a single woman? Usually it is. So, I've been amazed just how many single women are out and about in town on any given day. So you build a little rapport. We're talking about a 5-minute conversation. And then you wrap it up with, hey, I'd like to keep talking to you. Can I get your text number? Now, at this point, if she's married or engaged or something like that, she's probably not going to give you her number, or she'll give you her number, and then when you text her, she'll say, well, I'm married, I'm engaged, but I've got this cousin, I got this friend, classmate, whatever, so, again, it works out different ways. So meeting women in the Philippines is not hard. It's not hard, okay? I can't emphasize that enough. Truly, you can walk up to a woman that you might think is out of your league, an 8, a 9, a 10, and you can just have a conversation with her and get her text number in 5 minutes. It's not like the United States. It's not like Europe. So these men, getting back to these men and the mystery here, these men say, I'm tired of what's back home. I want what's in the Philippines, and they get here. And then they tell me that they've been here 3 weeks and they haven't been on one date. And I'm like, how is that possible? How could you not? I could literally get off the plane. If my plane landed at noon, I could have a date for dinner. And all I'd have to do is go to the local mall or bakery or whatever. I'd have a date. Well, I'm married now, so I can't do that. But I did it consistently for 7 years. The time it took me to meet a woman, cold approach her in person, get her phone number, usually under 5 minutes. And the time until I was sitting across the table from her, between 4 to 6 hours. And we're either having lunch together or we're having dinner together. I mean, consistently, all the time. I mean, I think twice in 7 years, I got turned down, one because she was married, another because she was a lesbian. So that I don't know if that even counts. So anyways, these guys come and they're here and they're telling me, they're like, oh, I'm just striking out and I don't know and this and that. So I asked a lot of questions trying to get down to the bottom of this mystery, because meanwhile, I've got all these other friends and buddies and expats. They're knocking it out. You know, I have a buddy of mine right now, and, you know, he just relocated back to the Philippines. He's been in town, I don't even think it's been a week. It's been like 6, maybe 5 days. He's already on his third date with the 3 different Filipinas. And he's not some, Brock Hudson looking kind of guy. He's just a regular guy. So I have all these friends who are just knocking it out of the park. I mean, literally going on as many dates as their social calendar allows. But then I get these guys who say, I don't know, I just can't get a date. And I wish I could have been there standing behind them to see what kind of approach they did. I don't know if they walked up to the woman, started stumbling and fumbling, getting nervous, or what they're doing to turn these women off. But they're doing something, and some of the questions I asked, well, okay, I'll give you one example. One guy, after he told me what a hard time he was having, and he'd already tried in Manila, Cebu, and now Bohol, and in 3 weeks didn't have one date. So I said, well, okay, out of all the Filipinas you approached, what happened? Why did they say no? He goes, well, I haven't actually approached any. And I'm like, how are you going to get phone numbers? How are you going to have dates if you don't walk up to a Filipina and talk to her? And then they started with the excuses. Well, I saw this one at the mall, but I don't know. I watched her for a second, and I think she might have been with somebody, might have had a boyfriend. And I'm like, how do you know she's got a boyfriend just because you're looking at her from 30 feet away, the way she talks? I mean, what does a woman who has a boyfriend do that you're going to pick up on that? I go, the only way you're going to know, go and talk to her. I go, you're basically cock blocking yourself. You're making these assumptions before you even go to talk to her. And then he had other excuses, and that's one theory, is that these guys are still traumatized from getting shut down and shot down back in their home country. They come up with every excuse under the sun to not approach her, not realizing that they're no longer back home. It's way different. It's way better in the Philippines when it comes to dating and meeting people and just starting conversations. They have not yet grasped that, even though they've heard it from me and plenty of others. They just don't seem to understand. They're in a different country. They're in a different situation. And I can kind of understand, okay, maybe the first few days, maybe the first week, they're kind of traumatized and head shy. But, all a guy has to do is forget about asking her on a date. Just as an experiment. Just go to even an average-looking Filipina, a pretty Filipina, and just walk up and ask her where a certain store is or something. Ask her where the nearest bakery is. You'll be amazed. You'll end up having a 5-minute conversation anyway. I mean, so with this type of guy, the first one, I think he's just making excuses because he's still operating from a position of fear. He got hurt back home, and he doesn't want that to happen over here. And so, like the guy I was talking about, just comes up with one excuse after another to not approach. And I remember one guy, he said, well, I'm kind of interested in this doctor. I was like, oh, that's cool, a Filipina doctor or whatever. And he goes, I found her online. I'm like, Okay, you found her online. Okay, so when are you going to go out with her? He goes, well, I was chatting with her last night, but I was looking through her photos and I zoomed in and she has like this very faint, tiny mole. We're not talking about a big mole on her forehead, a very faint little mole, he said. He goes, I don't know, that I think that's going to bug me. I don't think I'm going to contact her. And that guy had a similar story with plenty of others. He's like, well, look at this. When she sits down, her stomach skin kind of folds over. I go, that happens even with skinny girls. I mean, and he would nitpick. That's probably theory number 2. How does he divert away from approaching these women? By nitpicking. And first he finds a woman online or even in person watching from a distance, and then decides, oh no, I don't like her hair. I don't like her skin. Her hair's not long enough. I don't like her makeup. Just disqualifying it, and then that way he's got an out to say to himself, well, that's why I'm not going to talk to her, because she's faulty. She doesn't meet my standards, yada, yada. I've talked about this other guy, again, that I met with twice, and, the first time we met, he told me, well, I want a professional businesswoman, somebody that's like working at a bank, somebody that's maybe in the nursing field. I want a professional woman that speaks really good English, but knows how to cook, knows how to take care of a man. So it's kind of like he wanted the professional woman, but then he also wanted the province girl, all mashed into one. So I said, okay, well, if you want to meet women that are in the nursing field, well, there's literally a hospital, like not even like 8 blocks from here. Go over there and just kind of meander around. If you happen to see a Filipina working there in the hallway, ask her, hey, where's radiology or whatever. I mean, anything stupid, it doesn't matter. And if she's not in a big hurry, she'll talk to you. Or if she's in the cafeteria, you mind if I sit here? And then it's like, how long do you guys get for lunch? And, just anything, just start a conversation. So I talked to him later online. He'd already left the island. I said, well, did you at least look at the bank? Did you check at the bank? Did you try to talk to women at the hospital or near the hospital? No, he didn't do that. And so how is he going to cross paths with that type of woman? And the ones that he did find online, he didn't end up meeting with. He didn't close the deal. He didn't set up the date. So that puzzles me, because a man says, this is what I want. I tell him, here's where you find it. Here's how you get it. And then he messes it up anyway. That completely boggles my mind. If I was looking to buy a Honda motorcycle and I didn't know how to find one, and somebody came to me and said, oh, there's a dealership right here. I'll send you the map link. And here's how much the prices are on the latest Honda ADVs or whatever. I would go, oh, thanks. And then you know what I'd do? I'd go to the Honda dealership and start talking turkey about a deal and buy me a motorcycle. So I can't understand why these guys, again, other than they are just purely traumatized or something. Now, I've talked to other guys who they talk to Filipinas, they get dates with Filipinas, and then after 1 or 2 dates, they disqualify them. And it's funny because this is, again, the mystery. When I talked to them, they said they were looking for a serious relationship. And then they meet these women and they go, I don't know, man. She wants me to meet her mom and dad, and she invited me to some, house party, and they were going to have like a get together. I'm not ready for that. Well, either you're serious or you're not. Go meet her family, be polite, have some dinner. And that doesn't mean it's a marriage proposal, but take the step. You might go and realize, oh, this is not for me. This family's crazy or whatever. Or you might realize, hey, that she comes from a pretty loving family. This is a woman that I've been looking for. So the guy says he wants a serious relationship, and yet, even after 2 dates, disqualifies her because she's serious about looking for a relationship. And then you've got guys again, this has really been puzzling me for a couple of years now because I can't make heads, and maybe you guys can. So there's the other guy who says, no, I'm not looking for marriage. I just want to play around, play the field and, be the kid in the candy store, that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, well, to each his own, whatever you want to do, just, let these women know ahead of time, hey, I'm not looking for a girlfriend, then that way everybody's on the up and up and all that. So then these guys, talk about confusing. These guys, they do the quick hookup online, which if you're just looking for something quick and meaningless, transactional, then the dating sites are pretty useful for that. So then I'll ask them how it went the next day, and they're like, oh man, she's just too wild. She's for the streets. She's into the bar scene. I'm like, that's what you were looking for. You're not going to marry this girl. You just wanted somebody here or there for some entertainment. I go, that's what those kind of women are like. Why are you surprised? And it's like, oh, well, she asked me for money. Well, what kind of woman do you think is just, the kind that you're looking for that's going to have lunch and then be in your bedroom an hour and a half later? I go, you're not dealing with women of high character and integrity. You're dealing with women who are players. You tell me you want to be a player, and then you don't like the other players. Make that make sense. I don't get it. So I put it to you guys. I have been trying to grok this for almost 2 years. Why do guys say they want something, and then when it's right in front of them, they self-sabotage it? Now, I do have one other theory, because I've discussed this with probably 3 or 4 of my closest friends. We have tried to figure this out, and we have one other theory other than trauma to why these guys have this experience. It's a little bit of a crazy idea. It's just a theory. But these kind of men are not actually looking for a Filipina. They're not looking for a quickie Filipina. They're not looking for a serious Filipina for a relationship. But because they're here in the Philippines and they're talking to other expat men, maybe they feel they have to just fit in and say that they're making the attempt, but they're just not finding what they're looking for. So if they're not looking for a Filipina, what are they looking for? Well, I talked to one of these guys who, after giving me all the stuff about the excuses, oh, she's this, she's that, I'm not going to see her. His conclusion on his own was he told me, I think I'll have much better luck in Thailand. Now, he'd never been to Thailand, but all of a sudden there was like a spark in his eye. And he's like, I think what I'm looking for, I'm going to find that in Thailand. Well, what does Thailand have more of than the Philippines? Ladyboys. Now, there's a lot of ladyboys in the Philippines, but Thailand, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's just more out and in front and blatant and abundant than the Philippines. So that's my only other theory, is they're not looking for a Filipina. They're looking for a ladyboy, and they're having a hard time finding one in the Philippines. But they know if they go to Thailand, well, it's pretty much, a big candy store, if that's what you're into. So I'd love to hear your theories. Maybe you've met some of these guys. Why do they say, I want this, self-sabotage in getting it? How does that make sense? What is the motive behind that? What is preventing them from finding what they want when it's literally laid out on a silver platter here in the Philippines? So, see you in the comments. Love to hear what you have to say.